This is her season, soft but strong, guided by grace, where women become her seasons. Face softness, healing, helping women embrace every season with softness, wisdom, faith, and purpose.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Her Seasons with Deborah. I'm so happy you're here. And honestly, today's conversation feels like one of those conversations we probably need to have with ourselves every now and then. Because I want to talk to the woman who has a dream. You know that thing, that idea that keeps coming back to you. Maybe you've talked about starting a business. Maybe you wanted to go back to school. Maybe there's a book you've been saying you're going to write. Maybe you want to start creating content, launch a podcast, apply for that job, start a ministry, learn something new, move somewhere different. Or maybe there's simply a version of your life that you've been imagining for a really long time. And every time you think about that, actually, you tell yourself, I'm not ready yet. I understand. Because sometimes I'm not ready sounds very responsible. It sounds wise. It sounds like you're being patient. But sometimes we are not waiting for the right time. We are waiting to stop being afraid. And those are two very different things. So today, let's talk about starting before you feel ready. Because what if you don't actually need to feel ready? What if you just need to begin? Let's be honest. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I have money. I'll start when I know more people. When I have the right equipment. I'll start when my children are older. I'll start when I lose weight. Maybe I'll start when I'm more confident. I'll start when I know exactly what I'm doing. Or I'll start when God gives me another sign. Sometimes those things are genuinely valid, but sometimes we're just decorating fear with very reasonable excuses. Because fear doesn't sound like don't do it. Sometimes fear sounds like just wait a little longer. And that one can keep you stuck for years. You keep preparing, researching, watching other people, saving posts, screenshotting, buying notebooks. You keep making plans, and somehow the dreams never becomes a beginning. And at some point you ask yourself, am I actually preparing or am I hiding? Girl, that's a hard question. But sometimes it's the question we need. Zechariah 4:10. The Bible tells us that do not despise these small beginnings. Small beginnings. I love that God doesn't seem to have the same obsession with impressive beginnings like we do. We want a beautiful launch, the perfect logo, an expensive equipment, a big audience, a big announcement, a very polished website, 1,000 of followers. We want to start at chapter 10. But most of us are still supposed to be writing chapter 1. And chapter 1 is usually messy, it's awkward, it's experimental. You don't know exactly what you are doing. You make silly mistakes, you change your mind, you learn, you try again. And imagine that's okay. Your first version doesn't have to be your final version. You can start small. You can start with what you have. You can start from where you are, even with 10 people. With that one application, you can write that one page. You can record one episode. You can make that one phone call. Send that one email. Take one class. One step doesn't look like much until you take another one and then another one, and suddenly you're moving. I think social media has made this conversation even harder, because you can be having a perfectly normal Tuesday afternoon. Then you open Instagram. Hey, and someone your age has built a successful business. Someone else is traveling. This one is buying a house. This one is announcing a new book. This one has beautiful children. Hey, this one is getting married. Someone has lost weight. Someone has launched something you've been thinking about for 3 years. And you're sitting there like, God, am I late? But here's the thing. You're comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. You don't know what their beginning looked like. You don't know how many times they failed, how long they waited, what they sacrificed, what they cried about privately. You don't know how many years they went into the thing you are seeing today. So please, stop using somebody else's finished up chapter to criticize your first page. You know, you're comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. And it is very unfair to yourself. Your journey is allowed to look different. Maybe your chapter 1 is slower. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe you're building while raising children. You're starting again after disappointment. Or maybe you're starting with very little. That doesn't make your beginning less valuable. You're not behind because your journey doesn't look like hers. Okay. You know, sometimes we imagine faith as this beautiful feeling where you completely feel certain, you are excited, you are confident, you are fearless, you know exactly what you're doing. Hey, that will be nice. But sometimes faith looks like, Lord, I'm scared, but I'm going anyway. That's faith too. Think about Peter stepping out of the boat. The waves did not suddenly disappear. The storm did not wait for him to become confident. He stepped out while the water was still moving. And sometimes that's what we're waiting for. We are saying, God, remove the unnecessary and then I'll move. Give me more money and then I'll start. Give me the opportunity and then I'll prepare. Give me confidence and I'll show up. But sometimes confidence comes after obedience. You don't always have to be brave and then take the step. Sometimes you take the step and discover that you've been braver than you ever thought. And to make this practical, because I don't want you to finish this episode feeling inspired and then go back doing to absolutely nothing. So ask yourself, what is the one thing I can actually do today? Not next month, not when everything is perfect, today. Maybe you need to write that idea down, research, send the application, call someone, open that blank document. Maybe you just need to record your first video. Maybe you need to save the first, your little amount of money. Or maybe you need to register that company. Or maybe you need to tell yourself, I'm allowed to begin. So please hear me when I say this. You don't have to figure out the entire journey today. You only need to figure out your next step. That's it. Next step, then another, then another. Proverbs 16 verse 3 reminds us to commit what we do to the Lord. So, involve God in the process. Pray, plan, move, learn, adjust if need be. Just keep going. Faith and action should exist in the same room. Now, let's talk about the thing nobody wants to talk about. What if you start and it does not work out? What if nobody buys? What if nobody listens? What if you apply and don't get the job? Or what if the business struggles? What if the first version is not good? What if people laugh? What if you make a mistake? Well, what if you learn? What if the first attempt was not failure, but information? What if it teaches you something you couldn't have learned by just sitting on the sidelines? Sometimes we are too afraid of failing that we never give ourselves the opportunity to succeed. And I would rather have a story that says, I tried, I learned, and I tried again, than one that says, hey, I wonder what it would have happened if I had just started. And I especially want to speak to the woman listening who feels like she's missed her moment. Maybe you had a dream when you were young, and then life happened, marriage happened, motherhood happened, financial struggles happened, disappointment happened. Maybe you had to put yourself on pause for a while. And now you're looking around thinking, is it even my time anymore? Baby girl, you're still here. There are things inside you. There are still ideas. There are still gifts. There are still things you can learn. There are still doors that you can knock on. Your life is not over because your timeline changed. Sometimes we become so focused on the time that we've lost and we forget to look at the time we still have. So don't spend another 5 years mourning the 5 years you did not use. Start with today. And if all you can do today is take one tiny step, take it. A little reminder for you. I want you to remember something. You're allowed to be a beginner. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have everyone's approval. You don't need to be the best person in the room. You don't need to have the biggest platform. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need enough courage to begin. And honestly, some of the most beautiful things in our lives begin in the very ordinary ways. A small idea, a simple conversation, little savings, one application, one post, one phone call, one step. Never despise small beginnings. Because small does not mean insignificant. Sometimes small is simply where the story starts. So, beautiful woman, what have you been waiting to start? And I don't want you to answer with what you wish you could do. I want you to think about the thing you've been postponing, the thing that keeps coming back, the thing you keep saying one day. Maybe your one day needs to become day one. Not because you have everything figured out, but because you're willing to trust God while you figure it out. Your first attempt might not be perfect. Your first business might not look like your dream. Your first episode might make you cringe 6 months later. Your first book might teach you more than it teaches anyone else. And that's okay. Start, learn, grow, improve. Start again if you need to. Because becoming her isn't about suddenly waking up one morning and having everything together. It's about becoming her one brave decision at a time. And maybe this is yours. Maybe today is the day you need to stop saying, I'm not ready, and start saying, I'm going to begin anyway. And before I let you go, I have to tell you about something that's coming to Her Seasons with Deborah. You already know Thursdays are our little cozy corner for Thursday Stories with Twins. It's where we slow down a little. We talk motherhood, family, faith, the funny moments, the overwhelming ones, those little ordinary moments where somehow you look back and realize God was there too. But after season 1, Becoming Her, we're opening the door for something really special. We're going to start sharing real stories from real women. Stories about waiting, motherhood, faith, heartbreak, healing, starting over, restoration, answered prayers, things women have survived, things women are still believing God for, and stories that remind us that sometimes the woman sitting next to you is carrying a testimony you desperately needed to hear. So, if you have a story you'd like to share, send it to herseasonspodcast@gmail.com. You can use your name or you can remain anonymous. No pressure, no pretending, just your story. Because you never know who might hear what you've been through and realize, if she made it through that, maybe I can make it through this too. So, start writing. Your story may be someone else's reminder that God has not forgotten them. And that's where I leave you today. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you leave this episode with a little more courage than you had when you pressed play. And if there's a woman in your life who has been saying, I'm not ready, send this episode to her. Tell her, start anyway. Not recklessly, not without prayer, not without preparation, but don't let the pursuit of perfection stop you from being the woman God has called you to be. Remember, every season has a purpose. So keep trusting God, keep growing, keep becoming, and when you're ready, take that first step. I'll see you in the next episode of Her Seasons with Deborah. I'm Deborah Gitari. God bless you, beautiful, and please don't despise your small beginning. Bye.
This is her season, soft but strong, guided by grace, where women